Today, it's a tribute to TV dads, and we've assembled quite a cast of guys who have played fathers in some of your favorite shows. The Brady Bunch, Different Strokes, and the Addams Family. Plus, we have some TV dads who are currently starring in hit TV series. And two of our dads are going to be surprised by their TV kids. A special kind of slightly belated Father's Day show. You don't want to miss this. From the TV series The Brady Bunch, the man who played the father, Mike Brady. Please welcome Robert Reed. Philip Drummond was the head of the household on the TV series Different Strokes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Conrad Bain. Wanted to do this. You're going to have to help me, folks. Da-da-da-dum. 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 From the Addams Family, the crazy, kooky man who played Gomez Addams. Please welcome John Astin. Click your fingers when you're holding a microphone, the one thing we didn't think of. Robert, let's start with you. What was it like playing Mike Brady? In other words, when you got that job, you were kind of a serious actor, right? Actor like Shakespeare, like theater, like stage type actor.
I'd done some comedies I just played barefoot in the park in New York, so I'd done some comedies, but largely it was classical background. But going on the Brady Bunch, I was told that by the producer before they wrote the pilot that he'd run across the statistics of families who had been separated and come back together again. And he said, this is going to be a semi-serious show. It may have a few jokes now and then, a comedy, but we're doing social commentary here. Then I read the script. And it was one joke to the other. So what I'm saying is that it went through a period of transition. You know, it started out to be, it was conceived as one thing, it turned out to be something else, and we tried to, as well as we could, change it into something that was maybe an improvement over the way it began.
How does an actor change it? If you can't really, can you? Short of sitting down writing a script?
Well, that's what I did, was rewrite.
Oh, all right.
I don't mean to say that I did it all by myself, not at all. But it was a matter, in most shows, I think, when they start from the pilot stage, you get on the air or you get sold, and then it's a matter of finding what works. You know, the best parts of everybody in it, or the best ways to go, the things that are most appealing to the people.
Takes on a life of its own.
Yes,
but you know what
does.
I wondered? In all three of your cases, I'm told that in show business, one day you do something. For me, it was buying a $14 pair of red glasses, and the whole rest of your life, the public is going to think of you that way. No matter what shows you've done, no matter how it is, you're always going to be the father on Different Strokes. Do you hate that, or is it okay?
Well, I don't hate it. Do you hate it?
I
mostly hate people. I don't hate...
Kind of nice to hear you say that.
So that only holds true till you get the next thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Don't you think so? I was E.G. Marshall's boy for 10 years. They wouldn't remember that, but from the defenders, no.
Well, I was on a series called Maude for 6 years before Different Strokes came out.
You don't think the fathers have more impact?
Well, I think it's what Bob said. You know, you're as good as your last engagement. But when people were concerned at NBC when we started Different Strokes about whether the audience would be looking at the character I played in Maude and expecting that character in some way, because I went 6 years. That's not a short run. No. But it was never a problem because it's a different character. And audiences tend to believe that what they see, that the actor is the character.
Now, did they believe you were a dad? Did people write you
Yes.
letters, little kids, and say, please take me in, I'm available, adopt me?
Yes, they still do.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Well, but our premise opened up a different kind of a possibility there. Now, I don't know what these two guys' experiences in this regard has been, but because of the nature of our series, and I played a wealthy Park Avenue millionaire, billionaire, whatever he was, who adopted two black boys from Harlem. That's different. And so I still get fan letters from black boys who want to be adopted. It's true. Not only domestically, but I get a lot of mail from Africa.
Really?
Yes. And some of it is just charming. Like there's a young fellow in Nigeria who wrote to me and said that he would like my daughter in marriage. He would like, Dana Plato played the daughter, and the custom in his country is you go to the father and you ask for the daughter and you get it.
Not entirely a bad custom.
Yeah, glad this is in Africa.
So it was a very intelligent letter, and he sent all the school credits and letters of recommendation from his relatives, and it was a whole file. And it's a difficult thing to respond to because he's sincere. And what do you say? And
I'd say she's having a lot of trouble now. You sure you are involved?
I said that I just wrote to him, and I said I was delighted that he believed the show. Quality is what we're after, and if he believes that that's who we seem to be, then that's what we're after. That's what we want.
I think maybe it's much more so in John's case. Is there anybody who sees you that doesn't go, Adam's Family, And does that get on your nerves after a while?
No, I kind of enjoy it. I know I've done so many things since the Addams Family, and actually we only did the Addams Family for 2 years
Is that
on the air. Yeah, in those days.
Wow.
Now I know everybody thinks it was 15 years or something, but really we did. Of course, in those days, 2 years constituted 3 years today because we did 64 episodes, but. That was it, and the show has been off the air for 20 years, and people still, wherever, I hear behind me somebody go, bum, 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 and
I don't know who would do that.
Talking about letters, Sally, there was a funny, Connie reminded me when he was talking of a letter I got once while the show was current on the air. It's a little scrawled letter, and it said, from Chicago, somewhere in Chicago, no return address. It just said, Dear Gomez, can you come over Thursday and play with me? And then it said, I will be waiting out front for you,
Oh, no.
I couldn't reach him. I had no way to reach him.
And that kid is still standing outside in Chicago.
He's 40 years old and he's still out front.
Some real surprises for our guests when we return. Don't go away. Watch the TV Guide. A reunion. TV dads. Are you all three fathers in real life?
Grandfather.
Grandfather.
Whoa.
How many children?
My daughter, Karen, gave birth to a son in December.
Great.
I have 5 kids. Have a cigar.
Conrad? Conrad?
Well, I have 3.
You have 3 children.
3.
Three of the children on different strokes, Dana Plato and Gary Coleman and Todd Bridges, have had real serious problems, which, because of their fame, got them in the press an awful lot. That's out of the law of statistics or probability. Did you know when you were working with them? Is there a sense of that some of this sad stuff might have happened?
Not really. No. But I have a problem with discussing it.
Okay.
Because I think
That's
further
fair.
discussion of it only inhibits their recovery.
That's true, and I think that's very nicely said. Thank you. Good. Fair enough. That's fair enough and nicely said. Do you understand, though, in that I would be impolite, that it wouldn't be right if I didn't ask the question.
Oh,
Am I forgiven for asking?
No
that?
problem.
Okay,
No
as long
problem.
as that's okay.
As long as you don't mind the answer.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Well, last year we were in Florida, and we met with Florence Henderson and the rest of the cast of the Brady Bunch on our show, and it was pouring rain. It was it's the kind of show that after 7,000 are done, I'm always going to remember us sitting there with all the makeup and the hair, and we aired that show as it was, completely drenched. I have to tell you, everyone was going crazy over Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady. So, can you tell us about him?
Barry?
Yeah, what was he like? Everyone wondered, like the ladies in Florida were going, "Ugh."
Well, as the kids were growing up, whenever I would see kids out in real life, the boys would ask me about Marcia, and the girls would ask me about Greg or Barry or Maureen, either one. Barry now is happily married to a beautiful, lovely lady. He's just finished a book to which I've written a foreword, and it's coming out pretty soon. It's about his experiences, funny and amusing and some deeper, I suppose, in the Brady Bunch. And to answer your question succinctly, he's doing very well.
Is he? Did you have a good relationship
Yes,
with the other kids on the show?
Yes.
In other words, you're
very
with
much
somebody daily. Doesn't that make you kind of like father?
It does indeed. My theory about that is that show business is no place for a child to begin with.
I agree.
Because the stresses, as you well know, for an adult are bad enough. Plus, the kids have to go to school, and they're surrounded by authority figures. They have a director, a dialogue coach, the people who play their parents, a producer. It's a very difficult situation and demanding. And to get kids through that is difficult, and I think it behooves people who conceive of these ersatz families like we were, for the adult actors to assume some of that responsibility. And it's very difficult not to go over the line.
Yeah.
And we tried to do that, and it may have been an extra pressure on them sometimes, and sometimes it may not have been. But they turned out all right.
Good. Well, he forgave me. I hope you'll forgive me. Here to wish you a happy Father's Day. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Set? Go. Barry?
Number one son.
That's why you didn't call me back about the book. You were
That's why I
home.
didn't call you
He
back.
didn't. You had a phone call into, this is Barry Williams. He has a full name. What kind of father was Robert Reed
Watch it,
on
kid.
the set?
I don't know why I've been listening to your answers backstage. Bob gave us advice off and on stage. It wasn't always easy for him on the show because sometimes we were given situations and lines that he wasn't entirely comfortable, and sometimes I had the same problem. So I'd asked him how to handle it, and he would say, well, Barry, he'd say, just walk in the room, plant your feet, and remember the money. I never said that.
You can applaud.
You did.
I hear he took you to London.
Yes, he did take us all to London. It was an extraordinary trip that he had planned, and I think he had said at this time, he'd probably be too modest to mention it now, that he wanted to give something back to the show and to the cast. And he took all 6 kids, starting in Los Angeles, came here to New York, and 5 days on the QE2 over to London, where we stayed at the Hyde Park Hotel and went up to Stratford-on-Avon and saw a Shakespearean play. And he graduated from the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts.
See,
so
I didn't know that, but I just knew that he had classical training. That's
Yeah.
great.
Well, what he doesn't know is that love was afoot between the QE2 and the Hyde Park Hotel. Did you know that?
Who did what? See why you asked
The
those
next question is
questions?
between whom?
Well, I had a grand plan. I knew that Eve, who played Jan, had a crush on Christopher Knight. And Chris Knight and I were sharing a stateroom, and Maureen McCormick, who I had a crush on, was sharing a stateroom with Eve. So I was busting my chops trying to figure out how I could get over into the other stateroom. And I devised a plan.
Sounds like a TV show.
That sounds
Since
like
Chris was reluctant, I went over there, And I did the only fair thing. I told Eve that Chris had a crush on her. You see? And it was Eve who had the crush on Chris. So Eve said, oh, that's great. So we kind of swapped rooms. Now that left me, of course, in their room, in Maureen's room.
For how long?
About 3 hours. No, about 3 minutes. Because I got kicked out. So I went back to my stateroom. Except the door was locked. No, with Chris and Eve. Except the door was locked. So now I'm walking around the, the hallways in the middle of the night on the QE2.
What kind of chaperone were you?
If their parents had known all of this, I was with my blood, I promised them I would take care of them.
I tell you, I think he found out it was a lot different.
When you're
when you don't have directors and assistants and a camera crew around, what it's like to take care of 6 kids.
And you can't say cut.
Now, a lot of people have passed on in the Addams family, have they not?
That's right.
Who has passed on?
It's easier to say who hasn't, actually.
The children are...
The children are alive and growing up. Pugsley, Ken Weatherwax is... He's a grip and construction guy on films in Hollywood. And Lisa Loring became a beautiful woman. And she was on one of the soap operas here in New York. I forget the name of it. But now she's in Los Angeles. And she has kids of her own. And she's doing fine. And Morticia Carolyn Jones passed away. Jackie Coogan. Uncle Fester. Lurch, Ted Cassidy, Grandmama, Blossom Rock, Morticia's mother, Margaret Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
And,
what a cast.
And Alan Jocelyn, who played the visitor, and, you know, I could go on.
Is the
Ralph
hand...
Sedan, the mailman.
I would like you to please welcome Todd Bridges.
Hey!
Kind of nice that Conrad was so discreet. I think that was kind of wonderful. Do you know the last time I talked to you?
Yes, I do.
Where were you?
I was somewhere different.
Yes, very
I was in
good.
Twilight Zone.
Yes, really, in the Twilight Zone. When
in fact, you saved me. You helped me during that period, and I would like to give you a hug and say thank you.
Thank you. I'm so glad for you. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Can't believe.
Calm down. Harriet, there is a car in the living room. Harriet, there is a car in the living room. Don't overreact. Overreact? Harriet, there's a car in the living room.
That was a clip from the hit TV series Family Matters, where my next guest plays the head of the family, Carl Winslow. Welcome, Reginald VelJohnson. We also have two more 90s TV dads with us today. From the series Life Goes On, Bill Smitrovich, who plays Drew, the epitome of the caring and sensitive dad. And from the Emmy Award-winning TV series The Wonder Years, Dan Lauria plays Jack Arnold, the old-fashioned dad who's always looking for just the right answer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bill and Dan.
who the people are that come to these shows. I bet you could. People who don't work there.
Oh, I'm in my element.
Is that what they said?
What are these guys like off the screen? Let's start with Reginald. You play a police sergeant who's married with children. Your mother lives with you, your sister-in-law lives with you, the neighbor drops by. What's that household like?
Pandemonium.
Yeah.
No, we have a great time. It's like, you know, my family, I'm from the East Coast, and my family is here, so they're like my surrogate family, and it's absolutely wonderful working with those people. You know, we have a great time on the set.
And what about the Wonder Years?
Yeah, what the best show on television. Far better than all that.
But it's such a throwback, kind of like the Brady's Bunch, kind of like 60s, and you don't have the answers. You know?
think the Wonder Years is like the old
Yeah,
show?
don't you
I
think
have
so?
to disagree with you on that.
Really?
No, I think our writers try to write as realistic a show as possible. We don't have the answers. We don't try to write shows that set any right or wrongs, but just explain what it is. You know, I
See,
think
that's why I
a lot of the difference with the old shows is they did say this is a right, this is a wrong. The Wonder Years says this is what it is, and you decide whether it's right or wrong.
And
You didn't
that's-
think the Addams Family was a realistic show?
I think
That was most like my house. That's right.
I think Bill's family is so reality-based and has done such a wonderful thing. You know, I said to myself when I first thought, who thought of this?
The executive producer.
From a personal experience?
Michael Braverman. The idea came from, Chris had done a movie with John Savage, and I think an ABC executive had seen Chris do this scene with John, didn't have a large role in the film, and the executive came up to Michael and said, see if you could write something around that kid. So Michael came up with Life Goes On. And the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, he's done a remarkable job, and I think it's great that we have a show that's real with a little something different. You know, a little hyper-realism, if you will.
But that's done a lot for people. Not
Pardon me?
a lot for a lot for people who have handicaps. An awful lot.
Oh, most definitely. I get
That's
the
very
most
important.
wonderful, heartwarming, incredible
It is.
fan mail of
Oh,
any
oh,
actor on TV.
Almost makes me want to cry when I think about it.
I almost cried before I came out here. I mean, I wanted to save it for the show.
When we introduced Barry, I said, Barry, last time I talked to you, where were you? And he said, in the Twilight Zone. Barry was in prison, and it's well known, has had an awful lot of problems.
Are you in jail too, man?
Dude, the guy took my food, man.
I apologize.
That was the code we worked out.
That was passed down the green.
Todd, I apologize. My
Child
fault.
star exposed on Sally, Jessy, Raphael.
What? Because we did see each other before. It wouldn't have worked if we hadn't seen each other before. But how are things, what has happened and how are things going?
Great.
People
I'm
wanna know.
currently speaking with kids in schools and stuff. I talk about drug abuse, I talk about education, and respecting adults. And I'm working on some things, getting some other things together. And I've been talking to Conrad on the phone, too, every now and then. I call Conrad and see what he's doing. And he tells me, tries to get, see, Conrad's in excellent shape, and he tries to get me to go out jogging with him. And I'm like in bad shape. I'm like, Conrad, not next week. But things are working out great. I'm getting my life together, that's for sure.
I think people want to know, does one learn something? Is there an enlightenment, or is it just all like life?
Well, see, actually, what Barry was talking about earlier,
You notice my trouble didn't start until I got older, and that's when Conrad's advice wasn't there. I used a lot of his advice when I was on the show at a younger age. I talked to him a lot of questions. As the show got older, me and Conrad, I think, grew closer because we were always there. And it was like, I think everyone else was always running around, and me and Conrad were always the ones sitting back watching
But was
everybody.
it because being a child actor?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with being a child actor.
You don't?
Nothing to do with that. I think that whole thing is blown out of proportion. I think it just has to do with some mistakes that were made by me in my life. And the fortunate part about it is that I was able to come out of it. And the other fortunate part about it is I'm able to go speak to kids, and hopefully they'll listen, and they can learn from the mistakes that I have made in my past.
And you can pick up a career.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You're just saying something now that doesn't seem to fit, and tell me if I'm wrong. It seemed to me that the kind of responsibility that was thrown at you as a child, being a star on a television series and all that went with that, and all the attention that's foisted on you and all of us when we're in that situation, it is a hard thing to come down from, isn't it? When you're young, the way you were. Wasn't that a factor in whatever disturbance caused you to go into a wrong direction?
Well, I think in a way it could have played a part, but I don't think it did. Because if you remember, I did a lot of things outside of the show. Yeah. I think what hurt me was the fact that I cared so much about people, and so many people let me down is what hurt me a lot.
But you cared because you were a star.
No, I
at
cared just in
an age
general.
when no one can handle it.
You know, one of the toughest things about being a kid in a show or being popular is you can't go through your teens anonymously. I mean, if the spotlight had been on me in my teens, who knows what would have happened to me. You know, I think it's very tough to have the spotlight on you when you're 16, 17 years old.
Well, I think mine went through 20, though, I think, to 20, almost 21. So, like I told you,
I didn't have a spotlight at that age.
My trouble didn't start until I got, older on. When I got a lot older is when my trouble started. I think what played a key part in mine was the fact that I was a lot more sensitive than what I realized. And I would take my emotions and stuff them down inside of me, and then one day they just came out, and that's the way they came out. Thank God that they came out, but I'm able to now to deal with those feelings. That's why now, if I get mad at you, I would tell you that I'm mad at you. Before, if I got mad at you, I would just let it go on and just stuff it down.
Well, you
just
hit me. I mean,
no.
There goes another thing.
No, exactly.
I wonder, I feel as you do, that the children really show, I was a show business child, I feel that's no place for a child.
It really isn't. You know, people don't realize what, like Robert was saying, what the kids have to go through, being in the public eye all of the time. They're human beings. People have foibles, and they have, things that they go through. And the only reason that it's so hard is because people, they're publicized all of the time, and it's very difficult.
Yeah, one of my, three of my kids are in the business, and two of them were in as very young people. And I know my youngest, when he was 15, he was on a series and very popular, and he went to
you don't know
Mackenzie Astin.
Yes.
And on Facts of Life, he played the character of Andy on Facts of Life. He went to Dodger Stadium, and he got mobbed. And he came home, and he said, this is freaky. He said, I don't want to live that way. And he retired. When the series finished, he retired at the age of 15 and, went to public school and...
a condo in Florida now.
Take a break, we'll be right back.
I don't see how we could possibly do any kind of tribute to TV dads without a special mention of the person that many consider to be the ultimate TV dad, and that was Hugh Beaumont, who played Ward Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver. Hugh Beaumont, who had a very long career in movies and television, died in 1982 at the age of 73. Robert, we were talking about children in show
kids in
business.
show business. Oh, I have a couple of feelings about that, Sally. One is, there's a difference between kids of people in show business, such as John's, who can usher them in a way that regular parents cannot, or as you, I believe. Yes. And there's something else about it, too. We're talking about shows with no answers, no rights or wrongs. I think maybe the most important thing in this kind of show, if that's what you're choosing to show, if it's a morality piece, is to raise the moral question in some way. And then I don't believe it's going too far to say that this is the appropriate choice. I'm not saying right or wrong, but this is the appropriate choice for the person in this position. And I have a feeling that was one of the reasons, maybe a slight one, that on the Brady Bunch that these kids were the way they were. That we were dealing in those kinds of scripts that examined moral questions. There was lots of funny things around it, and that wasn't the thing that involved us all day long. But it gave an uplift. Am I wrong about that?
Is that very accurate?
And we thought about it, as opposed to where we so much in this country today, it seems to me, we give so much attention to rights and freedoms, and rightly so, but none to obligations and responsibilities.
And none to discipline.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sir.
My question is to Reg. I love your show. Who inspired it, and exactly where did it come from? Where did the concept come from?
Well, our show is actually a spin-off from a show called Perfect Strangers. And the lady that plays my wife, Jo Marie Peyton France, she played the elevator operator, Harriet. And the idea to get for her family to be seen was the producer's idea, so it's a spin-off.
Hi, this is going to Todd. Todd, I think it takes a big man to admit that he's wrong. It takes a bigger man to come out here and say that he's putting his life back together. And I think that right now you're a bigger inspiration to anybody right now than you ever were on Different Strokes. And I
agree. I have two fast questions for John Astin. I was wondering if you're coming back on Night Court as Buddy, because that's great. And I saw a movie recently, and I saw the name, and I think, is that your son, Keith Astin, that's
Sean Astin, as his name you're seeing a lot, yeah. He's in right now in Toy Soldiers. He was in Memphis Belle. Yeah, Sean is very successful. As far as Buddy is concerned, that's up to the writers. The character got very popular for a while there, and then last season, or this season is just ending, I haven't done, any new shows. So whatever happens, I would play the part any time because I love the character.
Hi, my question is for Barry. I mean, the Brady Bunch was certainly one of my favorite shows growing up as a child. What was, some of your favorite shows?
We were watching, well, I liked the whole Friday night lineup at that time. I used to watch The Partridge Family. I used to watch Love American Style. Mission Impossible was one of my favorite shows.
Oh. Yes, ma'am. Pass this down.
Yes, since it is Father's Day, I'd like to know if any of you gentlemen noticed that your children got a little jealous, your real children, of your TV children.
That happened. My kids, my oldest kids, were very negative about show business because they were about 4 and 5, and they got trampled by fans kicking around looking for autographs and stuff like that. So they developed a very negative attitude about it. It changed as the years went on.
I don't have any kids, so I don't have to worry about that.
What about, do either of you have children?
I have a 4-year-old boy, and he's starting to pick up on the concept that I'm that dad and I'm his dad. And when he was 2 years old, when he first saw our show, there was something, there was something innate about the show that drew him to, whether it be the simple music or the themes. And he wasn't even 3 years old. I guess it's about 2.5, I should say. Mm-hmm. And he watched the show, and then he wanted to watch it again. He must have watched it 50 times within a period of like 6 weeks. I was doing a movie somewhere. And he just started, I want to watch Daddy's tape, want to watch Daddy's tape. And talk about jealousy, right? Now, I put on the show, and he'll dance in front of the TV set, It's just like, no, we don't want to watch Dad anymore, we want to watch me. So it's hard to get his attention for anything for more than an hour now, so.
When my son was in kindergarten, the teacher told me, he asked the other kids, what show's your mother on? What show's your mother on? Thinking that everybody does this.
I always had a difficult time finding the perfect Father's Day gift. What's one of the best things that you received for Father's Day?
Money.
Money. Take a break. We'll be right back.
Cousin It?
You know, that's a very appropriate question. It's true. Actually, Cousin It was played principally, actually 1 week or two he didn't do it, but by Felix Silla. And Felix is still working. He's a great guy. And at the time, he was one of the smallest people in the country. And, you know, he'd get on underneath that wig and put the hat and the shades on, and he was Cousin It.
Yes, to Todd Bridges, I would just like to say I, too, am in recovery, and I wish you much success on your journey back to life. And for John Astin, I wanted to know if you and Patty Duke are still together. Ever since the Valley of the Dolls, I had a crush on her. And
getting it all in, yeah.
And for Barry, Robert, John, Robert, and Todd, I want to thank you all for being part of my life growing up. I have fond memories of you all. Thank you.
I should answer that because Patty Duke and I have been apart for 9 years. And we're both married to other people right now, and both happily married to other people. Very nice. And we have a nice relationship ourselves.
Yes, this is to all of you. I know it's really hard conceiving of being perfect and all dads being perfect. Playing the roles of a dad, did you find that you thought about your own relationship with your father?
We don't play perfect dads.
That's right, we don't.
You know, did you find yourself thinking at any time about your own father and your own experience with your father?
Absolutely. I can say that I base my character on my father.
Oh.
More so than I base it on anything that I would know. I don't have children. I don't have a second marriage. I don't have children that are 19. I don't have a child that has Down syndrome. But I think the values that Drew Thatcher has are... Drew Thatcher wants to be a better father than his father was, which is something my father wanted to do. And I think Drew Thatcher has the values, the work ethic, the values, and the discipline that my father had. So I think, you know, I was sort of like, when we started out doing the show, I was sort of a throwback to Father Knows Best. And I did have a lot of the answers in the first few episodes. And then we started, like Dan said, we started to do shows where, you know, I don't know.
What's, Dan, you don't have any children?
No, not that I'm admitting to. No.
Are you?
Well, Dan, you don't know it, but come on out here.
Reggie's really my long-lost son.
Are you married?
No. My girlfriend's sitting right there.
Where?
The pretty one with the blonde hair and the blue eyes.
Let's hear it.
And you've got a book about the Brady Bunch that we were starting to talk about?
It's coming out in the fall. It's been fun to go back now from this perspective and kind of get to know each other, really, again, for the first time.
Any real surprises?
Not an expose, is it?
Yes, there were some surprises. It's not. This is not Brady Dearest. I'm not going to. Most of our experiences were very positive, but we weren't the Brady Bunch. We were actors playing these roles, and so I'm trying to get behind the challenges of being a kid in show business and what that's about, and the difficulties and why it makes it. Yes, why it makes it hard, but also how you can come through that. And I really believe strongly that where you come into the business is where you and is not going to shift who you are because of a success. So that the people I think that have had trouble before show business came along, and that even though it's more difficult, with the values, with good values, you can survive it and move on.
So are you saying I had trouble before?
Yes.
That's not true.
Well, that's your opinion. And of course, you would know your case history. But in the history of the people that I have met with and known, problems are cropping up way before the advent of a television series or a successful series.
What advice, and this is to Robert, what advice would you give parents who are thinking of putting their kids in the business? What would you tell them?
Don't.
Don't? No. Let's go down the list.
Well, wait a minute.
Don't?
If you'd have to say what age first.
What age?
I would say at age 3, because I remember Todd on the Waltons. Yeah, Todd, you were on the Waltons, am I correct?
Correct.
Pretty good. You just sitting here in the audience knowing all this, is that right?
Well, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I grew up watching the Waltons, and I remember
You can't miss me. I was the only black one in the whole neighborhood.
spend over $20 a month on long distance.
I realize that we're doing TV dads today, but let me see if I can make this work. This very attractive, debonair gentleman is my father, who passed away some years ago. And he's not TV dad, but I'm on TV. So I would like to say Happy Father's Day to him, because I know he's listening.
All right.
Since it's family time, who's this nice lady?
My name is Cheryl Phipps.
And I am?
Reginald VelJohnson's sister.
There you go. My name is?
My name is Barry Johnson.
And I am?
His illegitimate, no, his brother.
Don't we look alike?
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you did that. Now my sister is going to be very upset with me for not bringing it.
I want to go down the line, if I could get even a one answer, because I think we left something hanging, and that is take a hypothetical 8-year-old whose family wants that child to go in show business. Give me one answer, or a very short one if you can. Yes? No?
I just feel that the child has no idea what they're getting into.
Right,
and they have to give up so much. I mean, we all read about how much money a TV star makes, but we don't realize what they lose. Fred Savage is one of the most down-to-earth, everyday kids you ever want to meet. He's a good ball player. He's never really going to be able to play on an organized baseball team. He's not going to have the same friends that a normal high school kid had. Fred gets a kick when my high school buddies come out to the set and tell him what a jerk I was when I was a kid. And he laughs. But then I say, you know, Fred, you're never going to have those stories. You're never going to have those kind of friends. So they give up an awful lot. And unless the kid is aware of that, it's...
Which they aren't at 8. Bill? No. Yes, no?
No, well, if the kid is motivated, if he's motivated for the right reasons and what those motivations are. If he's motivated by fame and money and glory, well, then it gets real, a little bit too
He's got
petty.
grown-up values.
Yeah.
Reginald?
They have to have a thick skin, I think, because it's tough. You know, I've seen my kids on the show cry. You know, they don't see that. You don't see that, you know. And they come to me with their problems, or they come to me with something, and you have to hug them and you have to hold them. You know, you have to, you know, they have to want to do it, I think.
By the way, I know a story about Reginald, just since his family's here, that some kid came up to him in a gas station and said, would you talk to my mother? And he went to talk to the mother. We'll take a break.
For a transcript of this program, send $3 to Transcripts, Sally Jessy Raphael, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007, or call 212-227-READ.
Everybody would like to grow up with those TV dads, and that isn't what it's really like, so I think that's an interesting point to make. My kids want Bill Cosby. It wouldn't be a Father's Day show. You said, what do you get your father? What does everybody in the world get their father, right? A tie! Okay. Courtesy of Barry Wells' collection, we want all of you to have your Father's Day tie so you can wear it and remember that we met.
Some members of our audience will receive, and a promotional fee has been provided by...
Rinse and Vac 5, the only product you need to clean your carpets. Rinse and Vac 5 works in all steam carpet cleaning machines.
Making furniture the right way and making it affordable. That's Broyhill.
Broyhill brings the good life home to you.
Paul Mitchell Professional Salon Products. Luxurious hair care and styling tools. Never tested on animals. Paul Mitchell. Your style demands it. The SaniFlush family of toilet bowl cleaners. To make your bowl more than clean, make it SaniFlush. And make it sanitary.